You're listening to Peterborough's community radio, Salam Radio. Salam Radio. 106.2 FM.
Good evening, and thank you for tuning into Salam Radio. You're listening to Wealth Made Simple. I'm your host, Shaz Nawaz, and I have with me in the studio
Kieron Bateman.
How are you, Kieron?
I'm all good. Apologies for missing last week, everybody. We were really looking forward to finishing Leverage, and then
I was in Newark, and
life got in the way.
It did.
I'm so sorry about that. Can only apologise.
But we're here today, so we'll make up for it.
We'll try
and
to.
It's such an important topic that I'm sure people will forgive us.
Hopefully.
Are you enjoying the warm weather?
I am actually. You know me. I quite like the warm.
Nice, isn't it?
It is nice.
Yeah. It's better than being cold.
I got in the car earlier to get here, and halfway here, I forgot that the aircon wasn't. I realised the aircon wasn't on. I was just sat in
Is
the
that because you hadn't charged your car?
No. The car's charging really well. I'm really happy with it. But yeah, just because I've got used to not having the aircon on in general, so I've kind of just sat in the car and I was like, oh, it's quite warm. It's quite nice actually. I quite like that warmth.
Yeah.
Sat driving, then opened the window and I was like, oh yeah, airflow. Airflow's good. We like airflow.
Yeah.
How are you though, my friend?
Yeah, very good, thank you. Very good indeed, and good to be here and to be talking about leverage, because I've been talking about this all week. I did a talk on Friday, talking a bit about leverage, and then yesterday I was in Birmingham at the Hilton Metropole at the NEC.
Oh, nice.
And I got asked a question by somebody about, I've got £500,000. Should I invest all my money or should I use this as leverage? I'm going to talk about that when we make a start in a few seconds.
Yes.
First, as always, we welcome your participation. You can call us on 01733 602 133, text us on 07411 191 062, or comment on any of the live streams on Facebook, YouTube, X, or Twitch. This week on Wealth Made Simple, we are talking about leverage. And we talked about this on the previous episode. And we're going to continue this conversation because it's so important.
And it's such a big conversation to have.
I think it's probably the single biggest game changer. Possibly, perhaps.
I would say mindset is the biggest.
Yeah.
Followed by leverage.
That is, more of a bigger thing, yeah.
Yeah.
But in terms of implementation,
leverage is the biggest, yes.
Yeah. Because it changes everything. And on Saturday, I was at the Hilton Metropole in Birmingham doing a talk to a big group of investors. And somebody put their hand up and said, I've got £500,000 to invest. Do I use that to buy a business or property, or do I use that as leverage?
Leverage every time.
I said very simply, use it as leverage, and then I explained to them exactly why they should use it as leverage, because I said 500 grand, let's say, buys you a house.
Yeah, comfortably.
And then you get X amount of rent, and this amount how much profit you get. I said as long as you're comfortable with paying interest, which that particular person was, they had no personal issue about paying or charging interest. I said now using 500 grand, you could buy up to £2 million worth of property. There's some stamp duty and other costs, but let's keep it simple.
Yep.
£2 million worth of property. Okay, that gets you 4 houses. Now let's look at all the costs, the interest costs, and the profit, and it was a lot higher.
Yeah,
so that's the difference.
Yeah, I mean, you could, just throw in random numbers out there after he's bought. You buy the house for 500 grand. That's bought and paid for. That's all yours, 100%. You've got capital interest on that. So, when the house appreciates in value, your money will appreciate in value. And statistically, house prices, on average, double every, 10 to 15, 20 years.
Let's say a house increases by 10%. Whether it's true or not true, it doesn't matter. It could be 5%, okay?
But your rent is, say, £1,000 a month.
Yeah.
Less, all the costs and stuff like that. So that 500 grand working for you in that one property is gaining you 12 grand a year. If you use that money as leverage, as you say, you can buy up to £2 million worth of assets.
Same price per house or 4 houses?
Same price per house, 4 houses.
You got 1.5 million in loans.
Yeah.
and you're paying 5% interest, for example, okay, which is 75 grand a year.
75 grand a year. But the amount of rent you recoup is far higher.
Exactly. And then we talked about capital appreciation, and let's say 10%, it could be 5%, let's just say 10%, and we can work the figures on 5%. On 10%, your house is increasing in value by 50 grand per year. So if you got one house, that's 50 grand, you got 4 houses, that's 200 grand.
Yep.
Okay, if it's 5%, it's 100 grand.
Yeah.
Versus 25 grand per house. So that on its own.
That on its own makes it worthwhile.
You know?
Yeah.
And
it's
the
little
person,
things
yes,
like that.
I didn't think of it that way. And
Yeah.
that's fine. You don't think of it that way because you're not used to it.
Well, I mean, it's like as a kid, one of my goals, and I must have been 10 or 11 years old. One of my goals in life was,
To never grow up.
well, one, to never grow up, and I've achieved that goal.
Yeah.
Growing old is mandatory. Growing up is optional. But it was, I wanted to earn £2,000 a month, and so in my brain, I took 12 months in a year, so you get paid monthly. It's 24 grand a year I need to earn. Now, you and I both know that's not 24 grand a year is not 2 grand a month.
No.
Yeah, but because I'd simplified it and I didn't understand what I needed to do to actually achieve my goal, I was underachieving because I didn't have the knowledge or experience. Now, if I'd leveraged someone else's knowledge or experience and actually asked a question rather than just beating around it in my own head, then they'd have said, no, you need close to 30 grand to get 2 grand. And why stop at 30 grand?
2.5 grand per month, yeah, and 5 grand tax, for example.
Yeah. And so it's just about, leveraging what is there. And, if you've got 500 grand, can I borrow it? I'll pay interest.
That's the question that I didn't ask them. But
Because I could do some good things with that money.
and give them a good return.
Yeah, really
and
good
I
return.
share the profits.
Yeah, absolutely.
It doesn't have to be a fixed return.
No.
So on the previous episode, we obviously went through some of the benefits of leverage. We then talked about financial leverage, and we went through an example about borrowing funds, investing funds, generating a return, repaying the debt, and we worked out all the benefits and some of the risks involved with financial leverage and how to measure financial leverage. This week, we're going to start with operational leverage, which is the second part of leverage. And operational leverage, very simply, refers to the extent to which a company uses their fixed costs in its operational structure. Now, high operational leverage means that a company can use a higher proportion of fixed costs relative to variable costs. And some costs are fixed and some are variable. So,
yeah.
For example, if you're paying rent, that's fixed. If you're paying business rates, if you're paying salaries, those things are fixed. You may have some kind of a management charge or some other overhead. If you've got, let's say, 4 employees who need a car, then the cost of the car, apart from the fuel, depending on whether it's diesel, petrol, or electric.
Yep.
Okay. The cost of the car in terms of the finance of the car is fixed. Then you've got all your variable costs, gas, electric, and everything else, which is partly dependent on how much business you do.
Yeah.
Which you
How many
should
people are
measure.
in that building at any one time?
Yeah, that's right. And it's important to compare and contrast both. So we've obviously covered what the fixed costs are, and the variable costs are dependent on the amount of work that's done. So this partly depends on production sales, and that obviously links to if you're making stuff, raw materials or purchases or stock purchases, direct labor, any sales commission you're paying, so on and so forth. And then you will obviously have a margin there, so you will figure out what that particular margin is. And the higher that your sales are, the higher the margin becomes, because once you've covered your fixed costs, if you're turning over 100 grand and your fixed costs are £20,000 and your variable costs are, let's say, a further £20,000, you're making 60 grand profit.
Yep.
If you're turning over £200,000, okay, and let's say your fixed cost, obviously your fixed costs still
It's
the same,
still 20 grand.
20,000. Your variable cost double, they're 40 grand. So you're making £140,000 profit, which is 70 grand per 100,000, as opposed to 60 grand per 100,000.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
exactly.
So the aim of the game really is, and this obviously proves the point that we're trying to make, is the higher that your turnover, the higher that your profits once you've covered your fixed costs.
Yeah. And an important point I think to mention in operational leverage, including in like your fixed costs of staff and what have you, is that you will get, and this is kind of a sidetrack into a mindset thing, but you will get some staff members who have the mindset of they do all the work, so why should you take all the profits? Because you're leveraging their time in your operation to get stuff, and that's a fallacy. That's all kinds of wrong. You as the business owner take the risk. You are leveraging your knowledge, your time, your reputation, your money. All of your assets are leveraged into your business to make your business profitable and work. If your business goes down, your entire livelihood, your entire life goes down the drain.
Well, you're next on the line, and then as you know, when you start a business, there's some form of capital required.
Yep.
And that needs to be injected by you.
Yep.
So you take that responsibility. If anything goes wrong, your customers, clients, patients
It's
come
your
back
responsibility.
to you. If you've got anything to do with the bank or suppliers, if that goes wrong, that comes back to you. You've got insurances which you're responsible for. Usually in most businesses, not every business, you have some form of a regulator.
Yep.
You're next on the line with them as well. So when everybody goes home at 5 o'clock, 5:30, 6 o'clock, whatever.
That would be nice.
Yeah, I know.
We were talking about this before the show, weren't we?
Your mind still
is working.
at work.
Yeah.
And what's really interesting is most small business owners, when they're on holiday,
are still working.
How do I know? Because when you look at their autoresponder, I'm away from the 29th of July up until whenever they are. They will
still respond.
When you email, they will respond.
See, in my business, I have the option of putting the auto response I'm out of the office on. I have never used it.
Yeah.
Ever. Not once.
I don't turn it on anymore because I know when I'm away, I'm going to respond anyway.
Yeah, so there's no point.
So
I'm exactly the same.
Yeah, so the last, I think probably 3 years. As you know, I do quite a few trips abroad because we have an office overseas. I just don't turn it on anymore because I know I'm going to respond anyway. So
yeah. And a lot of the stuff is not stuff that I can wait to deal with because you can't put your head in the sand and pretend it's not there.
And the good news is, Kieron, from the week before last, we've got Bash, and Bash says, I'm back from
hi,
last
Bash.
week.
How are you, Bash?
You guys are well.
I am very well, thank you, Bash. How are you?
And Bash had a question.
He does. I have a picture of it on my phone.
Good
Bear with.
man. And then we're going to obviously try and answer your question for you, Bash. But if you've got anything else in the meantime that you want to share with us.
So, Bash said last time we were in, the 3 messages that I've got pictured, what would be the best way to invest, i.e. stocks, make a business, buy property, to rent, something like that. He's 23, he's still in education, but he hopes to start working soon. And he asks because he would like to invest at least 50% of his future salary when he graduates and gets a job. He's tried many side hustles and all of them have not worked well for him. And I think I've got that pretty much right, Bash. If I haven't, feel free to correct me.
And Bash says that I'm good, thank you. Do you want to go first or do you want to go first?
I think our answer is going to be very, very much the same.
So I'll go first.
You go first. You go first. Age before beauty.
Thank you very much. And Bash says yes, that's his scenario. I think it's partly it's to do with personal preference.
Yes.
So when somebody says to me, where should I invest? Or how should I invest? You and I are not investment advisors. We're not authorized to give investment advice. What we do though is share our business experience and say what you could possibly do. If you're looking for pure financial advice, then you have to go to somebody who's regulated to give you financial advice with the FCA. And Bash says he's currently studying for a master's in data science and analytics.
Amazing.
You and I
love that sort of stuff.
Yeah. So the two clear options, and there's many options by the way, Bash, but obviously I'm being biased. One is to go into business.
Yep.
And again, I'd say to you, leverage. So you find a business that you either know something about, or you're interested in, or you want to learn about. And then I'd say to you, look at a business with high margin. So don't look at a business with 3%, 5%, 7% net profit. And the bigger you get, the smaller the margin gets usually.
Yeah.
Okay, because you sometimes look at businesses turning over 500 million. Look at the net profit margins, 3%. Okay, 3% of 500 million is a big number. Okay, but if that business were a small business
That was making 15%.
the 3% would be a high number. Okay, so A, look at a high margin business, and then obviously look at buying a business.
Yeah.
And look at you've got two clear options, and again, there's many options here. But obviously, we just talk about this, and this could be something we talk about in the future. In terms of, using no money down to buy a business, Kieron. But with buying a business, I'd say look for people who are looking to sell their business. They're motivated to sell. So this could be somebody who's looking to move abroad, looking to retire. Some events happen in their life where they can't either continue running a business or they don't wish to run a business, so they're a motivated seller. Once you've got that, you then you want to do a deal with them to buy their business, but you can't pay them bash in one go.
No.
So you say, okay, I'll buy your business from you. You've given me a particular methodology for the value of your business. And it's up to you to negotiate, but you might just say, okay, your business turns over or makes 200 grand profit per year. You've said it's worth 3 times EBITDA, i.e. 600 grand.
Yep.
Happy to pay 600 grand. I'll pay you over 5 years, and I'll pay you something up front, so I'm committed. You then, Bash, would go to the bank or a bank and say, I wish to buy this business. I want you to fund 50%. And the other 50% I'm funding over 5 years. So from the 600 grand, 300 grand paid up front, the other 300 grand paid over 5 years. So you're paying 60 grand per annum over 5 years.
Yep.
And by the way, don't be surprised, sellers agree to these type of deals.
Oh, they do. They all the time.
It might not be 5 years, but I've seen 2 years, Kieron.
Yep.
Going all the way up to 5 years, 10 years. The longest I've seen is 20 years, believe it or not.
Oh, wow. So the longest I've seen is 10 years.
Yeah, 20 years.
Okay.
But that was just a one-off deal. So 5 years, okay. So on the £300,000 that you paid up front, let's say the bank charges you 5% interest on that.
Yep.
So you're paying £15,000 in interest per year, and then again, it's difficult to say the period that the bank will allow you to pay over. But let's say the bank says repay the debt over 10 years. Just keep it simple. I'm not saying that's the period.
Yeah, this isn't hard and fast.
Yes, but if they did, that's 30 grand. So you're paying 50 grand interest plus £30,000 to the bank. So you're paying 45 grand every single year to the bank. Plus you're paying the 60 grand that you promised after year one. Okay, so 60 plus 45 gives you £105,000. You've still got £95,000 profit left in that business that you've purchased, which more than covers
all
your
costs.
salary, especially at the age of 23.
Yep.
Because there aren't many 23-year-olds. There are some, by the way. There aren't many 23-year-olds who are earning 95 grand a year. On top of that, now that you've taken over the business, even if you're inexperienced and you make mistakes, okay, 95,000 might become 50,000, so you lose 45 grand because you're inexperienced. You're still doing reasonably well with none of your money down. Now let's flip that and say you're really smart and you work hard, and you can change the 95,000, i.e. the 200 grand profit per year, Kieron, into £225,000 profit per year, because you look at, like we said, financial leverage and say, and also operational leverage, and say, how can I reduce some of my fixed costs?
Yep.
I'm paying all these fixed costs for things. Can I reduce them? How can I reduce some of my variable costs? So you reduce some of those and you find savings of £15,000. and then say, how can I increase my sales to increase my profit? So you find a further £10,000. It's a small number, by the way.
It is a small number.
So 10 plus 15 gets you to
25,000, which is your 225
gets you 25,000, and a big lump sum of that to 2 to 5. Okay, less what you pay in the bank is pure profit. What's not to like?
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. See, I would go a slightly different route to you then. I would take, if I'm taking 50% of my salary to invest in a business, I would follow virtually the exact same path that Shaz just outlined. However, I would possibly do it over a longer period of time, because I would sub-split my 50% of my salary down into two sections. 50% for investment, 50% for mentorship.
Mm-hmm.
And I would pay to have someone mentor me so I don't make those mistakes, so I don't drop it to 50 grand.
Even better.
I would learn from somebody else. I would leverage somebody else's mistakes against my learning.
In which case, the 200 grand becomes 225, possibly 250 and higher.
Exactly.
And you can go one step further and say to the mentor, I'll give you 5% or 10% of the profit. You come and help and assist me in running this business because you've got 25 years worth of experience. You also sold this type of business in the past, so I find them a mentor who fits that particular criteria. So come and help me out. I'll give you equity shares for nothing. Let's improve the business. And
you take your profit share.
10 hours a week or whatever, helping, guiding, mentoring, supporting me. Right? And then after 5, 10, whatever years we exit, and you'll get 10% of the capital exit.
Yeah, exactly. And that is building your knowledge, your operational leverage, your financial leverage, your knowledge leverage, all the good leverages.
Yeah.
And it's costing you fundamentally very little.
And if Bash or anybody else listening says, at the age of 23, that seems hard work, I've come across a few people, okay, who've done it at the age of 18. Just recently, about within the last 6 months, somebody who just finished their GCSE at the age of 16 bought their first business, Kieron.
Yep.
Using this particular model that I've just shared. And there's other derivatives of this particular thing. This is called deferred payments. There's other ways you can buy a business. Some say pay £1 and peppercorn rent and this or the other. So there's many other ways of doing it. But this is just sharing one particular option, making it nice and simple.
Yes.
So whether you're 16 or 18 or 23 or 53 or anything in between or 63, it doesn't matter. This works as long as you can find a buyer who is motivated to work with you.
And I think the thing to remember is whatever you choose is going to be hard work. Do not shy away from that hard work. You're clearly, if you've got the drive to do it already, that's fantastic. But consistency, which we've spoken about at length, is going to be your friend here. You're going to have to turn up consistently. Turn up for yourself.
So Bash says, would opening a business in a third world country, by that he means a developing country, increase the percentage of net profit if the market doesn't exist in the country, for example, tech? So hold that thought. He then says, mentorship, taking 25% of my salary personally for me, I don't think will be worth it. So a mentor, I assume by that, Bash, you're saying if paying a mentor 25% of your profit for you isn't worth it. So let's cover the first bit first.
Okay.
I think it's hard, Kieron, to say, would tech work in a developing country if the market doesn't exist? Personally, I'd say, don't bother. Why do you want to be a pioneer with arrows in your back trying to work something out in a developing country when you got big tech giants who if there was an opportunity,
would have already done it.
Would have done it.
I think also with opening, especially when it comes to tech in developing countries, it's one of those things you've got to be really careful with, because each country is fundamentally different. That their society is slightly different. Their understanding, their mindset is different. Their values are different, and there are some countries that I know where people have tried to take tech to those countries, and they've just rejected it. Mm-hmm. Does not work. They don't want it. They don't want to know.
Yeah.
And so it's. I would, as a first business, I would start with a market that is tried, tested, and trusted. So yeah, that would be my advice on that.
The
personally.
second part, which is paying 25% of your salary or profit to a
mentor
isn't worth it.
I'm going to disagree.
So am I, and this is for the benefit of Bash. But as you know, we always like to take a short break.
Yep.
And then after the break, Bash, make sure you tune in because you've taken the time to ask the question
And we will answer
previously, and then obviously then you and I come back. So you're very enthusiastic. You're young.
Which is fantastic.
Very, very good. So we are going to cover that for you in the second half, and it's not for you to hold anything personally. Kieron and I always share our advice in a frank manner. So this isn't to beat you up or to break you down, but to share with you to how you can fix your mindset so you can see things differently. And this is stuff that we've covered previously, but now that you've given us the opportunity, we will do that. So please make sure you join us after the break, where we're going to cover other forms of leverage and also answer your question, Bash, on whether it's worth paying 25% to a mentor to improve your business. See you very shortly.
Satisfy your cravings at Ibrahimi Buffet Restaurant. Enjoy a tantalising variety of Chinese, Italian, Pakistani and comfort food favourites, from starters to desserts. Kids under 5 dine for free, so bring the whole family to our restaurant at 63 Sycamore Avenue. Open every day from 5pm to 10:30pm. Call us on 01733 313131 or book online to reserve your table. Ibrahimi-restaurant.co.uk. Every bite is a delight at Ibrahimi Buffet Restaurant.
Where can you get high quality and low prices? Amar Food Store and Halal Meat in Lincoln Road Triangle is the place to go. Pay us a visit and take advantage of our special offers and great range of products on groceries, vegetables, fruits and halal meat. Also send money to Pakistan absolutely free. We have all top brands at special offers, offer free customer parking and provide a free local delivery service. Amar Food Store and Halal Meat, 613B Lincoln Road, Peterborough. Call us on 01733 687 374. High in quality, low in prices.
At Cake Inn, all our cakes and slices are freshly baked for that delicious taste. At Cake Inn, we bake 100% vegetarian and halal eggless fresh cream cakes. Delicious flavoured cakes for birthdays and weddings, ceremonies and all other occasions, with free customised messages, even balloons and candles too. Order for delivery or collection from Cake Inn, 489 Lincoln Road, PE1 2PE, and your cake could be ready within 2 hours. Find out more and order online at cakein.co.uk or call 01733 496 584.
Masterminds Tuition Academy is for your high schoolers, your something to provers, your subject strugglers and keen learners, your brave jumpers and fist pumpers. Affordable personalised learning plans are delivered through our centres in schools across Peterborough. But not to worry, we also provide online and home visits with flexible timings. Whether it is maths, English, science or 11 plus, Masterminds is a must. Find us on all socials and visit our website mastermindstuitionacademy.com or call us on 07516 166 003. Masterminds, master the matrix.
Bite into something wonderfully tasty at Big Mouth, 349 Lincoln Road in Peterborough. Eating in for takeaway or delivery, Big Mouth now have a delicious new menu full of all your favourites. Crispy fried chicken, juicy smashed burgers, finger-licking peri-peri chicken, handmade pizzas, quality doner meat and so much more. So visit the family-friendly Big Mouth restaurant for fantastically fresh food. Call 01733 201020 or visit getbigmouthonline.com.
Do you own a restaurant or takeaway? Cater Fair is an expert supplier of new and used commercial catering equipment. Visit caterfair.co.uk for quality equipment on sale at the lowest prices, or call us on 01733 310 115 or visit us at 11 Royce Road, Fengate, Peterborough.
This is Salam Radio, Peterborough's Muslim
Assalamu
Community
alaikum. Good
Radio.
evening.
Broadcasting on
Salam
106.2
radio,
FM
106.2
and
FM. I'm your
online.
host, Shaz Nawaz, and I'm with me.
Kieron Bateman, Salam.
And thank you very much if you joined us just before the break and after the break.
Yep.
And if you just tuned in, welcome to Salam Radio and Wealth Made Simple. As always, we welcome your participation. You can call us on 01733 602 133, text on 07411 191 062, or comment on any of the live streams on Facebook, YouTube, X, or Twitch. This week on Wealth Made Simple, we are continuing the conversation that we had on our previous episode, which is about leverage. So, previous episode we covered financial leverage and some of the benefits and the drawbacks of leverage overall.
Yep.
This week we're focusing on operational leverage, and we had Bash who asked a question on leverage and also on what type of business he should invest in. He has a further question because our advice to him was possibly buy a business, and we didn't even go down the rabbit hole of property or anything else.
No, that's a deep rabbit hole.
Yeah. And then Kieran got us into big trouble by saying get a mentor and pay them some money, which was the right advice, by the way. And Bash said, in his view, at the age of 23, paying 25% of his salary stroke profit to a mentor, he doesn't think it will be worth it. So, Kieran, seeing that you've started this, I'm going to allow you to comment first, and then I will participate.
Fantastic.
And we're not beating you up, Bash. We're just sharing
No.
our view, just so you know.
No. So
because we have a certain view on this.
yeah, a mentor can accelerate your learning by leaps and bounds to a magnitude that you cannot truly understand, having not had one. I'm not saying that a mentor will cost you 25%, but if you're setting aside 50% of your salary to,
You didn't use that figure anyway, but yeah.
yeah, if you're setting aside 50% of your salary to invest, I would cut that in half and put 25% aside out of that 50% to pay for a mentor. And the reason is mentors and understand the difference between a mentor and a coach. A mentor is doing or has done what you want to do. They have been there, they have done that, they have seen the mistakes, they have bought the t-shirt. So they will stop you before you start making those mistakes. They will teach you how to avoid the mistakes. They will teach you what to see, what to look at, what to value. Mm-hmm. And I mean, Shaz and I have both spent money on mentors. And one of the mentors I had was for 12 months. And it was for my best 12 months ever. And in that 12 months, I doubled my income and I doubled my time off. I then subsequently didn't have any time off because I was doing other stuff instead. But the point is still the same, is that I had the facility to have time off from that one business to then invest in another business and work on another business and work separately. In 1 year, doubled my income. Mm-hmm. Doubled the amount of time I had off from one business. I chose to invest that free time into another business, thereby further increasing my income. So at the end of 12 months, I think I worked out I had increased my income by somewhere in the region of 135%.
Not bad, is it? Or very good.
That mentor cost me 5% of that increase, which, when I was earning the initial amount, was a lot of money for me. But to then go on to, go from, say, for example, £25,000 a year to £75,000 a year because of that one mentor, the fact that it may have cost me 15 grand is money well spent.
See, it's always difficult, Kieran, and that's a good.
And those aren't true figures, by the way. I'm just using them as an example.
Yeah, of course. But and I'm gonna link this to Brexit just as a conversation.
Yep.
And people say, would we have been better in the the European Union, or are we better, leaving the European Union?
I have a very strong opinion on that.
So do I, but it's hard to answer.
Yeah.
In a way, because if we didn't leave and we stayed in, and we know the benefits of staying in and some of the drawbacks, we'd have never known. But would it be better leaving?
Yes.
And if you leave, which is what we did, it's always difficult. It's not impossible. Say, how would we further benefited by staying in if you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
the
yeah.
point here for Bash is, if you don't have a mentor,
You don't know
you
what
might
you don't
really
know.
mess your business up, and 200 grand might become 150, might become 125, or after paying all the costs, we said 95 grand profit. 95 grand profit after the bank cost and paying the seller might become zero.
Yeah.
Or you might be really good, and you might make it work, and you might keep it at 95 grand after all costs, and you might make it 95 grand, 125 grand. We'll never know. But you have to go with, what other people have achieved, and we know through experience, as do most people who are the mentors, when you have a mentor, you do better. Simple as that.
Simple as that.
And people say, oh, how do you know? Or if you're a coach, you do better. Well, look at pretty much every single sports personality, whether it's a footballer, tennis player, basketball player, gymnast, basketball player, cricket player, they all have a coach.
Every single one.
And most of them are at the top of their game, and most of them represent their own country, and they win medals, cups, all sorts of the World Cup, so if these are the people who are the best at their game, need a coach and a mentor. We're nowhere near that in terms of being in business, so why wouldn't we need one as well?
But I think also we fundamentally do understand that we need a coach. I think everyone understands it from a very base level. The difference is that when you're growing up, you call them teachers.
Yeah.
They're still coaches. When you break down what they do, they are coaches.
Of course they are.
So you wouldn't get through school and you wouldn't pass your exams without a coach. You wouldn't get through your A levels without a coach. You wouldn't get your master's degree without a coach. Why would you try and get a business without a coach?
Mm-hmm. Some interesting stuff that Bash is talking about, and we'll spend some time on helping Bash because it will help the other listeners and
I
viewers.
hope so, yeah.
But incentivizing somebody, and let's call it a mentor, with whether Bash has 25% or the 10% that I mentioned earlier, means that then, because they're incentivized, it's in their benefit to help you increase your profits because their share gets bigger.
Yep.
Paying them a fixed fee of, let's say, whether it's £500 per session to £2.5 grand per session to £5 grand per session, they take the money. I'm not saying that they're not going to help. They're not as incentivized. They haven't got as much skin in the game as they have by having a percentage. So I personally, Kieron, as you know, I don't care what percentage I have to give them. I always know it's not more than 51%.
Yes, yeah.
So if whether it's half or anything less, is a bonus. Because I know that the extra is worth the extra. Because whatever they add on, if I'm giving them 25% or 50% of the extra that they've added on beyond the baseline of 95 grand, using this example that we shared with Bash, I don't care. Because they've helped me create all this extra profit. If I'm giving them, let's say, up to half, and usually it's not half, it's less, but even if it's 25%, I don't care because I wouldn't have had it without them.
Yeah, yeah. And I think, the first business mentor I had that I went into business with, I took 30% of the profit.
Mm-hmm.
They took 70%.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? That 30% was far larger than 100% would have been on my own.
Yep. Of course it was. Because they know what they're doing. Then Bash goes on to say, in his mind, he's linked mentorship with selling a course.
No, absolutely not.
The owner's saying they would help, in inverted commas, help you with anything you want or need to know about the chosen course. When they really don't, it gets worse here. And I'm sorry to hear this in terms of Bash's experience. The term has given me, i.e. him, PTSD from a Forex pyramid scheme that he was part of.
Right. Okay. So this is where, if you're on, is Bash on YouTube?
Yes, he is. Yes.
Okay. So if you go back through our episodes, there is an episode on due diligence.
Mm-hmm.
And I would advise you to go back and find that and listen to it, because a good mentor doesn't partake in things like that. Pure and simple. One of my mentors, when took my money, every month, every week when we had a session and we met up and we did training and we did learning and stuff, and I learned a lot. At the end of the course, he gave me all my money back, because it wasn't the money that was why he was doing it. He was doing it because he's that sort of person that wants to help people. But unless you are handing over money, your mindset isn't the same.
Of course it isn't.
And so, I mean, imagine my shock when at the end of my mentorship, I got all my money back.
Yeah.
I mean, we're still friends now. I still talk to him regularly. I still hit him up for advice, and he still gives fantastic advice. And I will, regularly, meet up and take him out for dinner, because that's my way of saying thank you. And I also pass that sort of on. I pay it forward.
Just like he paid it forward.
Just like he paid it forward, because he had a great mentor, and I'm sure his mentor had a good mentor.
Yeah.
But it always cascades down. I'm really sorry to hear that you've had a bad experience, because that's awful, and that can leave a sour taste in your mouth about anything.
Yeah.
But when Shaz and I say mentor, coach, mastermind, we're not talking about a course where they promise you the world and give you nothing. We're talking about a one-on-one individual who you get to know over a period of time before you even agree a mentorship. You get to know them first, and then you decide that this is the person to mentor you.
And the worst thing is this, Kieran, and this happens a lot, and again we've recorded on other episodes, is someone says, I tried this in a different guy somewhere else, it didn't work, therefore it won't work again. And the example that I've shared previously, the one that sticks to mind, is someone says, I tried telemarketing and I took somebody on and I paid them £250 a day, and they were meant to make 500 calls or whatever, how many calls, even 100 calls.
Yeah.
And we tried it, and I paid them for 4 days and gave them £1,000 or whatever, and it didn't work. And I tell them, I know telemarketing works.
No, of course it does.
I've got clients who are making it work. Just because you weren't able to make it work for yourself, it doesn't mean that the thing doesn't work. It means you didn't have the process to make it work. So as sad and as bad as it is, Bash, that you had a mentor for this Forex scheme, and as you call it, a pyramid scheme, okay, don't let that label stick.
Yeah.
And don't not allow that experience to just for you to think all mentors are bad. And I'm not saying you're saying that they are bad, but don't let that experience think mentors don't work.
Yeah.
You tried a particular scheme in a particular way with a particular company or person or whatever or organization, and it didn't work. Learn from that. Say, this is a gift. What can I learn from it? Where did things go wrong? Where am I personally responsible? What checks should I have done, like as Kieran says, with the due diligence? Okay, and then next time, how do I make sure I avoid those particular mistakes? Because a good mentor is worth every single penny that they charge and that you pay them. And really, they're going to charge you less than the value they're going to add, because that's just the way they are. Because most of them don't go out to be mentors. You have to find them and say, can you help, support, guide me in doing what I do? Okay, those who are touting to be a mentor, which is fine, by the way, because some of them are like me, as you know, Kieran.
Yep.
Okay, do that as a business. That's fine. Okay, we're out there saying we sell this service, but there are people out there who don't sell the service, but will
still mentor you.
Happily be a mentor once you approach them and you make a business case to them, for them to help and support you.
Yeah, and I will say that one last piece of advice on this is, The biggest thing when looking for a mentor for me is not to get sucked in by shiny object syndrome.
Yep.
You've got to take all the rose-tinted glasses off, take a step back, take all emotion out of it, and just look at it purely as an objective lesson. And if you're happy with it objectively, then subjectively it's going to work.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can't take a step back and go, actually, objectively, how well do I know this person? How much do I know about them? Have I looked them up on Facebook, LinkedIn, email? Have they done this stuff before? What are they on Company's House? Do they own businesses on Company House? Have they done? And this is why I specified mentor and not a coach initially, because mentors have been there and done that. They have done what you want to do. If I want to learn more about accountancy, I'll go to Shaz. I will ask Shaz questions because he's been doing it 20 years. And I can check that on Company's House. And, correct me if I'm wrong, but you have absolutely zero problem me Googling you, checking you out, looking you up.
Asking me how long you've been in business.
Asking you questions.
Can you just prove you've been doing it for 20 plus years?
And you've got nothing to hide on that.
No.
And a good mentor doesn't have anything to hide. If they start getting cagey around stuff, can you tell me how this works? Well, no, you've really got to pay for the course before.
Yeah.
That I would caution against that sort of approach, because if you ask me that same question, can you tell me how this works? Yeah, this works by this, and this. I'm going to show you how. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'm going to let you know, or I'm going to give you the knowledge and then show you how.
A good follow-up question from Bash is, how can he find a good mentor? LinkedIn, networking.
Yep. There's a lot of business-based Facebook groups.
Mm-hmm.
LinkedIn's really good for that sort of thing.
Networking, asking people who are in business already.
And one that may surprise you, but find a small business that you associate with, that you relate to, that is the sort of business you want to get into. Google it, find out who owns it, find them on LinkedIn, drop them a message. It might be their PA that answers to begin with, depending on the size of the business, if they have one. It might be their VA, depending on if they have one. But invariably, introduce yourself, tell them what you're into, tell them what you're looking at, and ask if they've got any advice. Just as simple as that. And they're already doing what you want to do because they're the CEO of a company that you're looking at.
I think it was Steve Jobs who either approached Dell and Michael Dell or Hewlett Packard.
Packard.
Uh-huh.
I'm pretty sure it's Packard.
And did a internship there in the summer.
Yeah.
But picked up the phone and proactively, okay? Yeah. And Hewlett Packard was a big company back then.
Yes,
It is a much bigger company right now. So just look back, and you can go on YouTube and find people there who you admire.
Yeah.
You can read a book and find somebody who you admire, but the author or somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
You can ask people, who you know. You can look on LinkedIn. You can look on Google. You can find a particular niche in a particular business you're looking to buy, and then go online and look at people who are experts or who run a similar type of business or the same business in that particular sector, and approach them. You might have to kiss a few frogs, by the way.
Yeah.
Before you find a prince, i.e. somebody who says, I'll help you and assist you. But heck, it's worth the effort.
It really is. I can't stress that highly enough. And if you're not sure about going direct one-to-one mentorship, then even look at, through your network and through the networking avenues that Shaz has just gone through, a mastermind. Because I've been part of masterminds as well as individual mentors. Masterminds are just as strong, or can be, with the right group, because everybody's there for the same reason, and you will all stand together, you will all work together, you'll all grow together. And Shaz may disagree with me on this, but I would also say, if you are going to go into a mastermind, then I personally won't join a mastermind that has more than 12 people.
Mm-hmm.
because I value my time and I value the amount of time that everyone else has. And if you're in education at the moment, then a class of 30, it's a lot harder for a teacher to go around.
Too big for a mastermind, yeah. The biggest I've seen is 20, and the smallest I've seen usually is about six.
Yeah.
That's probably a bit too small.
Yep.
It works, but too small.
I find 10 is the optimum.
10, 12, 10, 12.
Yeah.
8 to 12.
8 to 12.
Moving to 15 is manageable for a whole day. So that's that for you, Bash. And if you want to come onto our show,
by all means,
days, you can message us now and agree to come on next week or some other time, or just turn up, and find where we are. That's not hard to do, and come and turn up, and we'll have a chat live. You can come on
and ask your questions live,
and then we'll talk to you, and you can share what you're thinking about, and because you've taken the time and the effort.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right,
Open invitation.
2 weeks ago and back today. We'll give you some more of our time.
Yeah, absolutely, we will.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
So I hope you find that useful. Bash, any questions, feel free to ask.
And we'll potentially go for some munch afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely. Why not? Depending on whether you're going to London or not. But yeah.
Yeah.
Let's finish off operational.
Okay. So going back to operational leverage.
Bash, then thank you very much for your time.
No problem. Anytime at all, my friend. So at the start of operational leverage, Shaz was talking about fixed costs versus variable costs. And the reason that's really important is because your fixed costs versus your variable costs, when your sales go up by a small margin, say 10%, has a massive impact. Because as we discussed earlier, your variable costs change when your sales go up.
Yep. Because
they go up too. So I've got a little calculation. So forgive the numbers, but they are just rough. Mm-hmm. So we've got two companies, one with high variable costs and one with high fixed costs. So company A has, both companies have a turnover of £1 million. Company A has fixed costs of 600,000, variable costs of 200 grand, totaling 800 grand.
So 200 grand profit.
200 grand profit, operating income. Company B has fixed costs of £200,000, but variable costs of £600,000. So still, operate 800 grand.
But the other way around, just for clarity, yeah.
Yeah, but the other way around. And so at this juncture, both companies earn exactly the same. It's 200 grand profit. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that seems all fine. Now, if sales increase by 10% to 1.1 million, very small amount, but the variable costs go up by the same percentage.
Of course, because it depending on the turnover.
Yep. So your fixed costs in company A are still 600 grand. Your variable costs are now 220 grand, which means your total costs on your 1.1 million is 820 grand, which means your operational income goes from 200 grand to 280 grand. That's a 40% increase. Mm-hmm. If it's the other way around, though, like it is in company B, your fixed cost of 200 grand, your variable costs go up by the same 10%, go from 600 grand to 660 grand, which means your total costs are 860 grand. So in company A with the higher fixed costs, your operating costs were 820 grand on the 10% increase. On the higher variable costs, your operating income, your operating total cost is 860 grand. It's a £40,000 difference. Mm-hmm. So on your 1.1, you're now only going up 20% from 200 to 240. So you're losing £40,000.
So the first company's better off.
First company's better off with a 10% increase.
It's got fixed costs and less variable costs.
Yep. Higher fixed costs, lower variable costs.
Yeah.
And that allows you to balance that increase much more effectively. And that's why it's important to leverage your high operational costs, because the thing with high operational leverage is that increase in sales leads to a disproportionately larger increase in operating income, and which is fantastic. If you spread your fixed costs over a larger number, the number of units reduces the per unit cost, increasing your profitability more as sales volume rises. So it allows you to get more out of what you put in, fundamentally.
Well, that covers operational leverage alongside everything that we covered for Bash, because he took the time out to liaise with us and ask questions. We've got so much more to cover in future episodes in terms of time leverage, which is, again, as you know, Kieron, a huge one. Knowledge leverage, which again is a big one. Relationship leverage, so on and so forth. So I think we're going to be carrying on with leverage for the next few episodes, but it is important. For now, thank you very much for tuning in,
you so
asking
much.
me questions, being part of this particular show and episode. We'll see you same place, same time next week. Until then, take good care of yourselves. Bye-bye for now.
You're listening to Salam Radio, and it's now time